actually be asked to leave.
I didn't put anything in last year, I think, the year before. It depends who's on the committee. If the people on the committee are hostile, there's no point in sending in.
This year, John Hoyland knows he's getting in.
I've got a few colours, yeah.
He's on the selection committee and has been asked to hang one of the rooms at the exhibition. But it's still important to make a painting he's happy with.
I can tell the viscosity of the paint when I shake the can, because sometimes if it's like that, it's very watery, like watercolour. And if it's a new can like this, it's very thick, like oil paint. But these are iridescent colours. That's as well. Let me just see. I test these on the floor. Right. I'm going to try pouring this. I try to make the paint behave in the way that nature behaves. I try to induce it, you know, like water going around a stone. See, there's some thick stuff in the bottom now that's picking up. Right, now see what happens.
Alan Jones's approach is much more methodical. For this year's exhibition, he's making a flattened sculpture based on a woman's figure, which will hang from the ceiling. The first steps are to make a paper model, then a metal maquette.
What I tend to do is that I think in the commercial trade it would be called a storyboard. I like to rule out a series of rectangles on the scale I'm thinking of working on, and it means that I can develop ideas and play with them. And if you cut out paper, it doesn't have any strength to it. But by folding it, I mean, these are the pieces, you know. This is a sort of manila paper, my favourite paper, because it's got some strength to it. And if you bend it with your nail, it will stay, it will keep its form. And that's how it starts life.
Well, I mean, it's not sort of painting with a palette, you know, and just, you know, it's more sort of, I think, more visceral. A lot of English artists, including myself, they tend to be too neat. They want to finish everything off, and go back and repaint the nose, you know, and all that sort of thing. Even the Germans don't do that. And I've had to try and fight against doing that myself.
The one for the Academy is this little figure. If you imagine this totally flattened out, it's a sort of very simplified anatomy, but this had a piece of string, and if I hung it, it would elegantly display its perfect balance.
Right, because of you, I'm going to risk all. Now, see how that dries. Not right, I don't think. And I thought when I first started doing it, I thought, this is a bit gimmicky, isn't it? It seems a bit kind of gimmicky. But in fact, you see, these little things you can't plan. It's like leaves falling on the ground or snow melting or, you know, it's like I try to paint like nature works.
Alan Jones's sculpture is back from the factory. He's pleased with the new lady in his life.
There's a face and a little top knot, a little hairstyle. There's her breasts here.
But John Hoyland's not so sure about his new painting.
I may have to make a few adjustments to this.
Alan Jones and John Hoyland there, as cool as they come. Right, we're joined by some guests here tonight at the party. Artists Grayson Perry and Michael Landy, and Munira Mirza, cultural advisor to the Mayor of London. Welcome to you all. So, I mean, obviously we are here at the 241st summer exhibition, opening night. That's a long old run it's had. What do you think is the enduring appeal of the show? Grayson, start.
I think it's the cycle of, things change, and then the young people, they need new things to rebel against always. So, when they're old, hip artists, they kind of get older and they become members of the establishment, which is fine. And then, people need people to be angry against. And the basic mechanism of the art world is good rebellion, welcome in. And that's how it works, And so this is an example of it, and you get sucked into the machine and you make more money, and the young people who are coming up can say, look at those bloody old posh men.
Michael, you're exhibiting this year. How are we feeling about that?
I'm a bit choked at the moment.
What a cheerful view.
Once I get over that, I think the popularity is it's because it's an open submission, and it's it's open to everybody, and I think that's the quality of that, and that's the kind of democratic kind of thing. That's the part that I really like about it. That it's open to everybody.
But does it? Because I can't believe that you're a Royal Academician. I just think, well,
I can't believe
they put
it
Michael
either.
Landy in charge of the open submission. And
Well,
what he'll do, he'll probably destroy it all.
Well, one day I would obviously like to, but obviously you've got to be in the inside to be able to do that, because you won't be able to do it from the outside. So yeah, I think one day if I ever get to judge, I think I'd like to bring a refuse cart in there, and the works I don't like will go into the refuse cart, and we'll crush them, and then we'll display it in the courtyard.
I think it's a good reminder to the art world that there's this sort of great underbelly of not quite so good art, and it's like it's an opportunity. I call it the sort of X factor for the Cotswolds, really. It's an opportunity for people to sort of dream, and I think it's good that the art world gets reminded that it's not all hip, cutting edge. There's a great big kind of swathe of stuff out there that other people like, and that's fine, that's good.
The dreams are an important part of it, though, isn't it? What do you think, Munira? Because is it a fantasy, the idea that this could be their moment of discovery, sending in something that they've painted in their garden or a little sculpture that they've made, and then suddenly they become hugely famous.
There's nothing really like it anywhere else in the world, and it's very democratic, it's very open, but at the same time it's got reassuring standards, and it's got this kind of hallmark of excellence at the heart of it. Artists who are considered to be world-renowned are judging your work regardless of who you are, and on the one hand it's quite traditional as an institution, and yet at the same time it's not resistant to change. They have a room on video art, they have contemporary artists who are at the beginning of their career. I think in some ways it embodies the contradiction of contemporary art in London, which is that it's quite old-fashioned in many ways and yet quite modern and radical.
Modern art
in other
gets
ways.
orthodox very quickly. I mean, like, neon now is like the bronze of the 21st century, and video art, has become sort of de rigueur. And people like that kind of, the way that it's a ritual, and it reminds people every year that they think they can live forever if a ritual comes around every year. You think that makes you think that it will just carry on into this sort of perfect end game of life, but of course, it won't. But.
It's a very strange institution, though, isn't it? Because it's been going for all these years, and you've still got this 18th century notion of how you display art.
It's like a village fete.
But it's coming up against this art that's now completely different. So suddenly, as you say, you've got video.
I think it's quite a radical challenge to the kind of the cutting edge, because when it sucks it in, they've got to confront sort of popularity and its kind of mediocreness in a way as well, and they've got to say, well, how does when I'm in a nice white gallery with loads of space around me, my kind of pole leaning up against the wall looks radical, but when it's sort of propped against the kind of a three-dimensional Van Gogh, it's kind of like it's not looking quite so eye-catching or intellectually arresting, is it really?
Well, listen, thank you very much, Grayson Perry, Michael Landy and Munira Mirza. Now then, earlier, Andrew picked out 4 pictures from the Royal Academy vaults that he thought were particularly interesting. Here's a film about the artists who made them.
The artist behind my first choice turns out to be 21-year-old art student Gemma Appleby. She made the charcoal drawing.
Oh, I like that.
I did enter last year. When I was in my second year, I didn't get in, but I thought that it was a good experience to start entering things and kind of getting my work to a level where it could be presented.
Gemma works from photographs, turning them into charcoal drawings of the forest. She then adds in modernist architecture, in this case, a house by Frank Lloyd Wright.
I decided that for all of my work, I needed to disrupt the landscape more, and to do that, I started by adding in geometric shapes to cut against the very organicness of the forest. But it's quite a new thing, and I haven't done that many of them yet, so it's sort of a bit experimental at the moment.
Getting into the summer exhibition could make a pretty big difference to Gemma at this stage of her career.
It's meant to be one of the biggest open art competitions, and I think just the fact that people like me can have their work selected and have it exhibited alongside Royal Academicians is just such an extraordinary thing.